There is a side to Apple that most iPhone owners don't know. There's Apple, the hardware company that sells premium phones and other devices with an emphasis on privacy. Then there's the other, quieter Apple, focused on something of a dirty word, advertising. And that part of Apple is getting bigger by the day. The famous Apple slogan, "What happens in your iPhone stays on your iPhone," is just a myth. Apple currently earns roughly $4 billion in advertising, more than TikTok, with analysts predicting a continued rise to $30 billion by the year 2026. Apple has solidified its spot among the top advertisers globally. The company is planning to nearly double the workforce in its own advertising division. With smartphone innovation barely advancing and sales slowing, it also makes sense that Apple would chase alternative sources of revenue. Welcome to Switch, where we make videos about technology. Apple and advertising don't seem to go together, considering the company builds its whole brand on privacy and premium products.
We are deploying powerful new requirements to advance user privacy throughout the App Store ecosystem.
Focusing on the advertisement industry seems the wrong direction to take. In reality, Apple was never against advertising. In fact, Apple had failed spectacularly with its own cross-app advertising business back in 2010 called iAds.
With iAds is to deliver interaction, but also deliver emotion,
which was one of the last things Steve Jobs introduced at Apple. The company shut down its iAds back in 2016 and switched its focus entirely to privacy, making it the core selling point of its products. At the time, people started to become aware of their privacy, and Facebook was getting hit with privacy violation lawsuits. On the other hand, Android was a complete privacy nightmare. This gave Apple a great opportunity to establish itself as a brand that respects the privacy of its customers. For years, Apple watched Google and Meta make billions by collecting every scrap of people's data to target them with ads. Now it appears that it was just taking notes. Apple's major revenue driver is and always has been hardware. But it's not the only one. These days, Apple is increasingly a services company, rapidly growing its entertainment, finance, and software arms. Smartphones and tech products have reached a point where yearly changes have become incremental. People are holding on to their old phones longer than ever before. The entire tech industry is also moving to subscription-based services, and companies are trying to sell add-ons and upgrades with their hardware more than ever. The fact that Apple already has enough data to run an ad network makes it almost a natural progression for Apple to advertise some of those services too. In 2021, Apple launched a feature called App Tracking Transparency, simply ATT. The feature gave iOS users an option to decide whether apps can track them across other applications and websites, a key way for advertisers to serve more personalized ads. Given the option, most users opt out of ATT. Twitter, Snap, YouTube, and data brokers have complained that ATT gives Apple an unfair advantage. Meta claimed ATT will cost them $10 billion every year in advertising revenue. This change might be seen as Apple caring about its users' privacy.
Advanced data protection is our most advanced form of protection for customers.
Unfortunately, big tech only introduces privacy measures that prevent competitors from accessing your data so that it can keep it all for itself. To these companies, privacy means no one can access your information but us. Within the Apple ecosystem, the company can track you as much as they want. The option to turn off tracking is hidden under many layers of settings. The privacy policies for the App Store, Apple News, and Stocks apps all state plainly that those services collect a wealth of information about your browsing, purchases, searches, and downloads. Apple monitors your every move in the App Store, News, and Stocks apps, and then uses that data to sell ads targeting you in those same apps. To meet its growth forecasts, experts expect Apple to start selling ads in its Maps, Podcasts, and Books apps. This means it could replicate this model across more of its services. Apple is now offering Apple Music, Apple TV+, and iCloud photo integration to competitor platforms like Windows and Android. With the recent M2 Mac Mini pricing, Apple is trying to enter the mid-range computer segment too. According to Bloomberg reporter Mark Gurman, Apple is set to announce its new AR or VR headsets this spring. This will open more doors for Apple to advertise and push its existing services. There is also a rumor that Apple is working on its own search engine called Apple Search to challenge Google. Apple already makes $4 billion a year from its advertising already, and iPhone users tend to have more buying power than Android users. So Apple's ad empire is more likely to grow exponentially in the future. Now the question is, how far Apple will go with its advertising? The answer boils down to how much Apple users will tolerate. People generally don't like to change ecosystems, and since the alternative is Android, which is owned by Google, the largest digital advertising company, Apple still remains the better choice for most people. Let us know in the comments about your thoughts on Apple's new move toward advertising. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe and stay tuned for more upcoming videos.